Welcome back to the channel. This is episode 77 of Brett on Fett. It's my annual Halloween episode, and today I'll go over some quick pickups. We'll have another rendition of Random Figure Spotlight, but before all that, I want to give my quick thoughts on the recent reveals from Hasbro for the Black Series and the Vintage Collection at the 2023 MCM London Comic Con. So let's take a look at those reveals. All right, I'm going to try to get through these quickly, starting with the Black Series. Now, these first two reveals actually came the day before MCM on Hasbro Pulse's 1027 event. And this was the Mace Windu and 187th Legion 2-pack. Pretty cool pack. I really like the Clone Trooper. The purple looks pretty cool. I already have two Mace Windus. I'm sure a lot of Black Series collectors have that good Mace Windu, so I just feel like we don't need that. I would have much preferred they just release the Clone Trooper by himself. But if you are a Black Series collector that does not already have a good Mace Windu, then this would be a pretty cool pack to pick up. Next, they showed the reissue of Paz Vizsla in the Galaxy style packaging. They had pipelined that they were going to reissue him before. Instead of going with the archive box, they're just going with the Galaxy packaging. So that's fine. It's a great figure, so I guess this will give newer collectors a chance to get a Paz Vizsla at retail price, but definitely not an exciting reveal. Next up was padmeamidala from episode 1. This is from the scene where they're storming her palace on Naboo, and you know, it looks good. It's a pretty good figure. I don't have a whole lot of things to say about it. It's just not my cup of tea, not very exciting. But I will say I believe Black Series only has one Padme from Attack of the Clones in the line, so very good to get another version of her in the Black Series. Then also from episode 1, they revealed the new Anakinskywalker, and he looks really good. I have to admit, they did a really good job on this one. Looks very realistic to me. Again, not an exciting figure to me. It's not something I would probably get since I don't collect a whole lot of Black Series and typically only pick up maybe 5 or 6 a year of my very favorites. But for the serious Black Series collectors, I think it's great to get more of the prequel characters in the line, in particularly from episode 1, which was severely lacking. Switching quickly over to cosplay products with the Black Series helmets, they revealed this Carson Teva pilot's helmet, and this thing looks great. It's just a really cool pilot helmet design. I might actually get this, and it's just great to get something from Carson Teva in the line. I mean, this is a character that's literally shown up in every Disney live-action show as an integral character, and yet they still have not produced a single action figure, not even in the Black Series, let alone TVC. I'm surprised the Black Series hasn't gotten him yet. I think he's coming at some point, but they haven't pipelined him yet. But it's great to see his helmet. This is a really cool design. Then for the Black Series pipeline reveals, they revealed a Phase 2 Clone Trooper and B1 Battle Droid 2-pack. This is great for Black Series collectors who want to army build both armies. Not something I would do. Again, not a serious Black Series collector, but this does make sense to do this for army building, so that's good to see. Then there was an episode 3 Palpatine. You know, not something exciting to me, but again, Black Series needed more prequel versions of characters, so I'm sure a lot of them are happy to see that. And then by far the most interesting pipeline reveal to me was this Last Command set. Now, the Last Command is the third book in Timothy Zahn's Heir to the Empire trilogy that came out in the early 90s, which is now considered Legends. great set of books, one of my favorite of all time. And this set is going to include Luke Skywalker and Luuke, or I don't know how you pronounce that, spelled Luuke. And by the way, that is my least favorite thing of that awesome Timothy Zahn trilogy, is that they named the evil clone of Luke Skywalker Luuke, Luuke. I just thought that was really weird and silly. But anyways, I digress. But it's going to come with both of those Lukes, plus Mara Jade and Joruus C'baoth. Now, that is the most exciting part about this reveal, is that we're getting a Joruus C'baoth figure. We've already had Luke's, of course. We've already had Mara Jade, but Joruus C'baoth is just such an awesome character from those novels. And so it's very exciting to see him coming in action figure form. And I'm just pleasantly surprised that Hasbro is exploring the Timothy Zahn Heir to the Empire trilogy with their toy lines. I'm just really, really hoping they do the same with the Vintage Collection. All right, so with that, let's jump over to the Vintage Collection reveals, starting with a day before reveal at the 1027 event, and not an exciting one. It is the reissue of Captain Cassian Andor. Just the same figure. They've just done the photo real application to the face. Not worth buying, in my opinion, if you already have this figure. And then for the MCM reveals for TVC, they had this Phase 1 Clone Trooper on Attack of the Clones card back. Card back looks great. The figure, of course, uses that same mold from the Phase 2 clone we got from Andor. And it's got the same concerns with the helmet, unfortunately. At least in a lot of these photos, to me, the helmet looks a bit frumpy, and like it sits a little too low on his shoulders, like there's just no neck there. So it just looks a little bit awkward to me. I'm gonna hold out my full judgment until I see it in person. But again, same concerns that we had with the Andor version, unfortunately. Next up, they revealed the Finn from The Force Awakens. They had pipelined this before, so we knew it was coming. The card back's just not great to me. I don't know, something's going on with the lighting. I'm not sure, but just not a great looking card back in my opinion. And this is a reissue from the 3 3/4 Black Series Finn. So this is just not a very exciting reveal. I think it just basically ticks a box for completing the main characters from the sequel trilogy. It was odd that Vintage Collection never had Finn, so I kind of get it, but I do fear that this figure will be a peg warmer. By far, the best product reveal for the Vintage Collection was Count Dooku from Attack of the Clones. Great looking image on the card back, great looking figure. I like the head sculpt a lot. I love the use of the soft goods cape. It just looks great. I really have nothing bad to say about this figure. I think they knocked it out of the park. Very excited to get this one finally. Then there were the pipeline reveals for the Vintage Collection, and we had 3 characters from Rebels: Ezra, Kanan Jarrus, and Zeb. We knew these were likely to come since they're making those sculpts for the HasLab figures. So these will be different versions of those characters from the HasLab. So not a surprise at all that we're getting these 3. And then the most interesting pipeline reveal for TVC was that they're going to make an Enoch and the Night Troopers from Ahsoka, but these are going to be in a Army Builder 4-pack. And I'm not sure that I've ever been so excited and yet so disappointed at the same time at a Hasbro reveal. It's so great that we're getting Enoch and the Night Troopers. We definitely wanted these guys. They're going to be very cool figures. And I'm very excited that they're giving us army builders for the Night Troopers. People are going to want to build those. But again, Hasbro, with the named character being included in the army builder pack, there is only one Enoch in Thrawn's army. So why include him in an army builder pack? Why would you force people to buy multiple army building packs with the same individual character in it? Nobody wants multiples of Enoch in their army. So it just makes no sense. And then the other side of it is people like me who are carded collectors first and foremost. We really want these characters on card, especially Enoch. Ideally I would actually want an Enoch on card and a Night Trooper on card, and then still want there to be army builder packs of the Night Troopers themselves for those people who want to army build. So So I just don't understand. It just seems like Hasbro is shooting themselves in the foot by not offering Enoch on a card and just putting 4 Night Troopers in the Army Builder pack. It just seems like Hasbro would sell way more figures that way. The Enoch figure carded would fly off the shelves, and more people would be willing to buy the 4-pack for army building if it's all Night Troopers. So it's just very scary to me that Hasbro does not get this. I'm going to hold out hope that we will still at least get Enoch on a card sometime down the line, but still, Hasbro has really got to figure out this issue with their army building packs. Alright, so if you follow me on Instagram, then you probably know that all of last week I took my family on a vacation to Florida. We went to Disney World, basically hit up all the parks, including Hollywood Studios, home to Galaxy's Edge. I had a blast. I was really impressed with the job that Disney did on that park. My only disappointment was just thinking about how much better it would have been had they gone with an original trilogy theme. But nevertheless, they still did an awesome job, and it was a great time. And while I was gone, I did get some more pickups, maybe a little bit even before I left, so I just want to share those quickly, and then we'll get to our random figure spotlight. So let's take a look at those pickups. Alright, first up from Tungori.com, I got the HK50 Assassin Droid. This is a Legacy Collection Builder Droid, uses the same mold as that HK47 we're going to be getting soon with Jedi Revan, and he's just an awesome droid. If you follow ObiWan Kenobi and Boss Bounty, you may have seen that they also ordered this from Tungori. I think we all 3 ordered it at the same time. I just love droids, and this is a really cool one. I don't know if the camera is picking it up, but it's a very metallic bluish color. It's looking more silver on my camera for some reason, but yeah, he's awesome. Now, Tungori did not have his gun, unfortunately, so I just grabbed an extra Dark Trooper gun, and I think it looks pretty cool with that. So yeah, very happy with this pickup. Love this guy. Next up, while I was at Disney, I picked up this C1 MNST4 or C1 Monster from Disney. I was getting into the Halloween spirit. They were having a lot of Halloween parties at Disney, and so I felt like just go ahead and grabbing one of these guys. I don't normally buy these holiday themed droids, but I love Chopper, so I thought this was pretty cool. And while I was on my new trip, the first of the latest TVC wave started rolling in, beginning with the Grand Inquisitor from the ObiWan Kenobi series. This was a figure I really wanted. Great looking card back. I think it's the same image used on the retro version, and what a fantastic looking figure. Regardless of what you thought about the show, this is a great looking figure. It is an all newly tooled figure, and they always do a great job with those. It is VC293, and this is the only one I have so far, and it's in great condition, so I won't be opening this one, unfortunately, but I will probably get another so I can open him because he's really good. And then finally, right after getting back from Disney, I got the Ewoks 2-pack. I got this one from Entertainment Earth, and this is fantastic. It's so nostalgic, and I love seeing this. And I do like the 2-packs because they protect the figures inside, and they are unpunched. And, you're obviously going to buy both of the figures from the series, so why not just pack them together? And the coin looks awesome. The paint apps on these figures look really good. Way better than I expected, actually. So I just couldn't be happier with these. It's very much like the Droids special series they gave us a year or 2 ago. And I have to pat myself on the back a little because if you followed my channel for a long time, you may recall a long time ago following the Droids releases, I successfully predicted that Hasbro would make some figures from the Ewoks animated series as their next special line for the Vintage Collection. And so I just couldn't be happier with this release. I think these are fantastic and would love to see Hasbro make one more of these to coincide with the 3 Droids animated series releases. Alright, so those of you who followed my channel for a while know that every now and then I do a segment called Random Figures Spotlight, where I just kind of choose a figure at random, usually from one of the modern lines, typically not TVC since we talk about TVC so much. And today's random figure that I will be spotlighting is Garan Dan from the 2006 Saga Collection. So let's talk a little bit about who Garan Dan is, and we'll take a look at the figure. So Garan Dan is a spy hired by the Empire in A New Hope to track down the droids they're looking for. C-3PO and R2-D2, of course. He is an alien species known as the Kubaz, and he's very mysterious looking. And I think because of that, I always thought he was really cool. Unfortunately, Kenner never made an action figure of Garan Dan back in the day, and we've only gotten 3 official figures from Hasbro for Garan Dan, starting with this Power of the Force version that came out, I want to say, around 1996 or so. And then around 2003, Hasbro released this 12-inch doll version of Garan Dan. Pretty cool, but just not my thing. And then finally in 2006, Hasbro released a new Garan Dan for the Saga collection, and that's the figure we're going to look at today. All right, so here is Garan Dan in the packaging from the Saga collection. And, you know, these are pretty cool cards they did back in the day. I like the background scenes they added to these cards. That was always a neat little thing they did. These will never be as nice to me as Vintage Collection card backs, but they're still pretty cool. You can see it's number 34 in the Saga line. And there's the description on the back. I think it's funny that it says Roll Imperial Snitch instead of Imperial Spy. That's pretty hilarious. And there's a look at some of the figures that came out at the same time. Some pretty good figures there. I really like that Luke Skywalker. That's a cool one. And then it came with this hologram figure. This one is of Darth Maul. So there's Garan Dan in the package, and let's take a look at him loose. And here he is off the card, and he looks really good. I have to admit, for an old figure, they did a great job with the look of the character. I love the details on his goggles and his snout. That looks very good. He does come with his little communicator there in his hand. At first I thought it might have been glued on there, but it is actually a separate piece that comes off. And then he has a blaster he comes with that looks really good. There's actually some little paint details there on the grip. And so excellent little blaster there. Now, unfortunately, the articulation is pretty bad. They've got just swivel elbows. They did cut them at an angle, which helps kind of cheat the system, so to speak, because you can make it look like he's bending his arm. So at least they did that versus just a straight cut at the elbows. So you can get some articulation out of him, but it's just so dated. But what else? Oh, we got a active holster here that does work. The blaster fits in there nicely. So that's great. And a nice little touch they had here. He's got a little holster for his communicator. So yeah, you can just pop that off there and stick his little comm thing in the holster. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, he just overall it looks good, but look, again, the knees, there's no joints at the knees, so no articulation. He just has swivel joints below the knees at the shin area, so that's unfortunate. But again, I forgot to look at the back of the head. More detail there with the band for his goggles, so that's great. So, you know, this is a combination figure of great looking aesthetics, but terrible articulation. You see he's just got the swivel waist there, you know, swivel hips, of course. The head can swivel, but doesn't go up and down. So great looking figure, but with terrible outdated articulation. So we desperately need a new Garan Dan for the Vintage Collection with all the modern articulation. But let's get him on the spinny anyways. I really hope Hasbro will give us a Garan Dan in the Vintage Collection. He's such a cool figure. I know he's not technically an original 96 figure, but if Hasbro makes Garan Dan from A New Hope, they can then use that new tooling to also make the Ferryman from The Mandalorian Season 1 and the Bounty Hunter from Mandalorian Season 1 that tries to take out Grogu. So you get at least 3 figures there from one sculpt. Alright, so that's going to do it for this Halloween episode of Brett on Fett. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on Hasbro's recent reveals. Plus, let me know what your thoughts are on bringing Garan Dan to the Vintage Collection. Thanks for checking out this video. Thank you to my subscribers. Don't forget you can also follow me on Instagram and on X. Take care, and we'll see you next time.